made you want to put this into the world?
When I was really struggling, I did hit rock bottom. And when I was at the end of my rope, I couldn't even get myself to go to a recovery meeting. I couldn't get myself to even think about treatment. But I watched documentaries about notable people who had gotten sober. And I can remember this one time, I was a mess, had been drinking many days in a row. And this guy, Dennis Eckersley, was a Major League Baseball player. And he was talking about getting sober on this documentary about his life. And I remember watching it, like almost crying, being like, I wish I could have what he has. And when I got sober, I told myself, wouldn't it be cool to put some more of that out in the world? Not everybody's ready to walk into a recovery meeting, right? Not everybody's ready to go to rehab. Some people can't afford it. And so to have this podcast where people can just dial in and listen in and just drop in to hear what recovery is like and to hear people's stories of just how broken they were. And you can hear it in their voice now, and sometimes you can see it, just how they're kind of letting the sunlight of the spirit shine through them, which is what getting sober is all about.
We hear that name, the Payoff. What's behind that name? We use context clues, but just describe what's behind the name, the Payoff.
The Payoff. The Payoff is a great life. If I can tell you this, and you know me, right? Like, if being sober wasn't fun, I'd still be drinking. Truly. But it's a great way of life. And I try to tell people that are new to this, just show up, give us 90 days and we'll refund your misery, right? If you're that broken down, just go, sit all the way down, listen, and stay for a while. And don't compare yourself out, because you might hear what people have to say that you can relate to. But the Payoff is a great life. And there's a great life on the other side of I was as low as you could get. I was so broken that I was willing to do anything to get and stay sober. And the payoff of all that work was a great life.
What has your payoff been specifically? What can you share with us?
I'm sitting here with you, dude. Really, I used to sit on a bar stool and drink and tell lies about what I was doing. And all those lies I told, those are things that I'm really doing now. And ultimately, what I get to do is carry the message. It was given so freely to me. Guys who are sober for a long time would reach out for me, or when I was reaching out, they were there for me, and it's not like if somebody's out there listening now and they're trying to get sober, it's not this big conspiracy, like all your friends and family, they don't have anything against you, you just may have a problem. If you're sitting in the middle of an intervention and you're thinking, oh man, how do I get out of this? Well, just kind of sit down, listen, and give it a shot. Give it a shot. It's the best thing. The worst thing that I thought had ever happened to me, right? Being broken down and not being able to drink anymore like a normal person was the best thing that ever happened to me. But I didn't know. I had to trust God, and I had to trust, what people before me that were having great success, who came before me, I had to trust what they said. And I could see it in them.
You've been very vocal about your story. John Mulaney, very vocal about your story, putting it into really something to hear all of the detail and really opening up about it. Do you find that most people are open to sharing their stories of how they got sober?
It depends on the person. And it's, look, Alcoholics Anonymous is a place where I go, right? It's anonymous for a reason. I think that if people want to share who they are and share their story, that's fine. If you're going to do that, talk to your sponsor about it before you, because sometimes maybe you're not ready. I had talked to a lot of people before I started to share this stuff on this podcast. Two of them worked here, Bob Walters and Josh Young, our news director and general manager, and they gave me the green light to do this. So I wouldn't be sitting here with you talking about sobriety if those guys, a lot of news stations or maybe a different company outside of Gray would have been like, no, this is too much. This guy's our morning anchor. We can't have him out there. Who knows what he's going to say? Josh was like, dude, go for it. And when you surround yourself, when you get sober, you find yourself around people like that. But I just want people to know, it's not like a basement of a bunch of boring people, right? Getting sober, there's people, that's why sometimes I wish more people were a little more vocal, because there's people in your life who have what you want, and it's because they're sober, but you have no idea that they had a drinking problem to begin with. That's their business, but that's why I share what I share.
Are there challenges you find that are unique to Central Texas in living that life, in living a sober life? Or are there advantages? What do you think, what's it like, especially here in this area?
That's a great question. Central Texas is great because there are a lot of meetings around here. So if you're having trouble, you can look it up online. try to find a place to go to a meeting. There's an AA hotline you can call, and they can tell you where to go to a meeting. If you work a program of recovery the way that you're told to work it, the way that your sponsor tells you to work it, this is specifically for me, right? There's no place you can't go. Like, recovery is not a tunnel to more meetings, it's a bridge to life. Somebody told me that a long time ago, and I didn't know what they meant until I experienced it myself. So it really is, it doesn't matter where you live, you can live. I got sober living in Jersey City, working in New York City, and people were like, oh, it's gonna be too. Guess what, there's more meetings in New York City than almost anyone on the planet. So if you want it bad enough, it's okay. You can go wherever you need to go if you have singleness of purpose. Look, I'll go to a restaurant, Christy's here, my fiance, like I'm kind of boring. Once I like to be home by like 9:30. Not because I'm worried to be out anywhere around alcohol. I'm old. I want to go to bed,
We can relate on that. I am the same way about it. And we have a picture, I think, of you and your lovely fiance if we want to show that.
Oh, really?
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, this is the payoff to getting sober. How about that?
Beautiful couple there, and the ring is gorgeous, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
To you both.
Yeah.
You kicked off a new season a couple weeks ago. What are some of the guests you've had and some that you hope or plan to have on this season?
Yeah, I mean, I guests I've had, Lee Steinberg, a sports agent, Ryan Leaf, former football player, Tony Mandrich, former football player, Jay Moore, the comedian and actor.
Oh, really? Jay Moore?
Yeah, so people you've known, you know about, but then there's also people that you don't know. Like I try to kind of run the gamut to put, like, not just everybody's a celebrity. Certain people are, just like me or you. I talked to a guy, the show went up today, Andrew, from where I'm from in Philadelphia. He's 5 years sober, just an amazing story. I just want to keep sharing the stories of recovery. I just want people to know there's always hope. And if you want to check in, you can drop in and listen to the Payoff with Pete, Stories of Sobriety. And maybe that hope is there for you too.
If someone is listening to this or watching this and they are actively dealing with addiction, what do you want them to know is on the other side? You kind of alluded to it earlier, started to get into it, but what else would you like to share about what awaits them after they kind of take that first step and kind of get down this road? Well,
if they're dealing with this right now, they know that your life is very small, right? And you know what I'm talking about if you're struggling with this right now. And your life will be huge, right? Like the relationships that I burnt so many bridges in my active addiction and had so many relationships break down. I never thought I would just have a healthy social life or have healthy connections in my life, and it's all come back in spades, So I would say to anybody that thinks they can't do it, yes, you can, because I did it, and I'm telling you, if I did it, you can do it. And there's always hope. There's always hope, but you got to be willing to do the work. What do they say? Like, God rewards honest effort, not wishful thinking. So you've got to do your part. But I'm telling you, the community and the mojo you get from all that, it's a great life.
Anything you'd like to tell people as far as what they can do to support others?
I love this. We didn't get to do interviews this long on the morning show. This is the best.
The best, right?
Yeah.
But to give somebody advice if they have a loved one struggling with addiction and they're trying to go through this process of recovery and they're struggling, what would you tell them they can do to help? Should they go hands off? What should they do?
There's one piece of information a therapist told me once, because I was dealing with the same situation, even being sober. If you have somebody in your life that's really struggling with drugs and alcohol, it's best to have a plan in place for when they come to you and ask for help, right? The way that the alcoholic mind works, at least mine did, you have a huge weekend maybe, and then you take it into like a couple more days, 4 days you've been on a bender. You wake up in the morning and you say, I'm done. If you turn to a loved one or a family member and they say, the car's ready, I talked to somebody who's sober, they're gonna take you to a meeting. Or the car's ready, we got a rehab set up for you. You gotta kind of strike while the iron's hot, because like the typical alcoholic, 3:30 comes around, 5 o'clock, I'm starting to feel pretty good. I forget about all that. So when people ask for help, be ready to provide them with action steps and places they can go. There's a place in town here, Senecor. I can't really speak for them, but I know of it, and I know it's a treatment center. It's not like it's gonna cost you, all the money in the world,
Okay, so real quick, any final thoughts, including any guests you would love to have? I mean, you've already had some pretty amazing people, but any big guests?
I would
put it out there.
I would love to have like a Rob Lowe. Okay. That's somebody who I just am over the moon about. Chris Mullins, a basketball player. When I was sober, I was at NBA Summer League, and I was working for the NBA Development League. And I was in Vegas for 2-3 weeks. I hadn't been to a meeting. I didn't know where to go. And Chris Mullins is sober. And I had to interview him for my job. And he didn't want to do the interview. He was like, oh man, whatever. But he's a nice guy. And I knew he was sober, 20 years. So the cameras are done, everything moves away. And I'm like, Chris, I got a year and a half sober. But I'm struggling out here. He's like, oh man, he pulls up his phone. He's like, there's a meeting over here at Harrah's. Okay. There's a meeting. And that's guys like that. I mean, that was a moment to me like, man, this is working. So Chris Mullen, I'd love to have you on too. Yeah. And Rob Lowe. Yeah.
Well, we love it, Pete Sousa, and what you're doing. Pete, this is for you. This is for you too. These flowers are yours.
Ask Karina. Listen, I'm sure I've taken them before.
Yeah, we love you. And by the way, he destroyed some of our Christmas decorations one time.